Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is out now, the newest addition to the Arkham series. And while you might not really want to include it in the Arkham series, no doubt that the Arkhamverse just greatly expanded. And so today, we're going to take a look at all the main characters throughout the Arkham games, both good guys and bad, and rank them all from weakest to strongest. So let's get to it. What's up guys, I'm Daniel and this is DanCo. We do fight breakdowns every week, plus the occasional power ranking video like this one or things like that. So if that seems interesting to you, we'll sit back and enjoy the video. Hit that like button. If you want to, go hit the subscribe button while you're at it. Now let's get to it. Deacon Blackfire is the crazy leader of a religious cult, making it his goal to brainwash the homeless in Gotham and eventually take over the city. He claims to be older than the city itself, hundreds of years old in fact, and says that the secret to everlasting youth is because he bathes in buckets of human blood. And for that to happen, he needs plenty of people for human sacrifices. So yeah, safe to say he's definitely crazy. Just like his name might suggest, Anarchy is anti-government, anti-establishment, pretty much anti-everything, and is trying to make himself a voice for the people. And in order to really make himself feel heard, well, him and his crew start resorting to terrorism. That obviously got the attention of Batman, who quickly took him out and revealed that Anarchy is nothing more than an angsty teenage boy. In Arkham Origins, Black Mask put out a $50 million bounty on Batman's head. One of the assassins who answered the call was the Electrocutioner. And while you might think you're getting ready for a big boss fight, well, Batman ends up knocking the guy out with just one punch. And then just to make it even worse, Batman then takes his shock gloves and uses them for himself instead. Arkham Origins sets up Black Mask as the game's main villain. He was the one responsible for putting out the bounty on Batman's head, bringing in the assassins to Gotham in the first place. But of course, as the game goes on, well, that's not really how it played out. Instead, Sionis is actually in prison, and the impersonator? Yep, it's the Joker. From there, well, Batman actually frees Black Mask, and he goes about trying to retake his criminal empire. Of course, Black Mask himself is defeated in the end. You never really hear from him again. Victor Zsasz was an inmate at Arkham Asylum, but like pretty much every other inmate, he's been able to escape time and time again. Once a wealthy socialite whose parents were murdered, so a lot like Bruce Wayne, Zsasz ended up gambling all his money away. Ended up discovering his true passion in life was killing people. The tally marks on his body represent each person that he's killed, so he's easily one of the biggest mass murderers in Gotham. While he might not be much of a physical threat to Batman, his bloodlust still definitely makes him dangerous. Tommy Elliot was a childhood friend of Bruce Wayne's, just a super insane friend. He tried to kill his own parents, but actually failed because Bruce's dad managed to save Tommy's mom. And so Tommy began to hate the Waynes and vowed revenge. So in Arkham City, well, Batman began coming across a bunch of dead bodies with their faces surgically removed. Then he met Hush, a man covered in bandages all over his face. When he took off the bandages, turns out it was actually Bruce Wayne? Yeah, Tommy cut off all these people's faces in order to turn his face into Bruce Wayne's. Told you he was insane. Garfield Lenz was once a pyrotechnic expert at a movie studio in Gotham, but after losing his job, well, he took to the streets with some high-grade military tech as Firefly. And of course, because he's so in love with fire, he's got horrible, nasty burns all over his body. In fact, Firefly seems a lot less like an actual Batman villain and just a crazy guy on a jetpack. All he really wants to do is just start fires and cause some chaos. Calendar Man spends most of his time in Arkham, in prison for planning gruesome murders on different holidays throughout the year. But what makes him unique is this little secret that he shares with Batman before escaping. I was there at the beginning, and I will be there at your end. And he's a man of his word. During the Nightfall Protocol, Calendar Man can be seen in the crowd right before Wayne Manor explodes. Jervis Tetch is a criminal so insane and so obsessed with Alice in Wonderland that he straight up decided to become the Mad Hatter. His plans then always resort to hypnotism and transporting Batman to different storybook worlds. While these worlds are incredibly surreal, Batman is always pretty quick to break out of them and then punch Hatter in the face. Harvey Dent was originally one of Batman's best allies in Gotham, until a mob boss threw acid in his face and he went totally insane, becoming Two-Face, a criminal obsessed with duality. He's now one of Gotham's biggest crime bosses, and will consistently use a coin in order to make decisions and figure out who he's going to kill next. An obsessive perfectionist, Laszlo Valentin was a neurosurgeon turned ringmaster of the Circus of Strange. Talk about a career shift. And his schizophrenic tendencies resulted in a split personality named Professor Pig. He then began to abduct people around Gotham, seeking to remove all their imperfections and turn them into mindless Dolatrons. Whenever a supervillain is able to figure out Batman is Bruce Wayne just through sheer intellect, well, you just gotta respect them. You also have to know that they're incredibly dangerous. We'll take that, throw in some psychotic medical experiments, and you have Hugo Strange. He had basically free reign over the Arkham prison. His Tiger Guards ran around with complete authority. If Ra's al Ghul hadn't killed him when he did, Strange could have easily been one of Batman's most dangerous villains. Known in the criminal underground for his black market weapons, the Penguin runs a nightclub called the Iceberg Lounge. And of course that comes complete with a massive pet shark and an immortal zombie hiding out in the basement. And the Penguin is clearly used to being in fights too. Heck, he's got half of a bottle lodged deep in his eye. The daughter of Ra's al Ghul and the lover of Batman, Talia al Ghul, is definitely a complicated character as she heads up the League of Assassins in Gotham City. A master hand-to-hand fighter and a skilled swordswoman, Talia is kinda torn between her love and affection for Bruce and her service to her father and his mission to burn Gotham down. After mixing his DNA with a vampire bat, brilliant scientist Dr. Kirk Langstrom became the Man-Bat. And while he was eventually captured by Batman, Man-Bat is incredibly strong and tough, easily superhuman and super powerful. And of course, he can fly and is even a bit sneaky, enough to give Batman a jump scare. Copperhead was an expert escape artist, an amazing gymnast, and a master assassin and contract killer. She's a highly skilled fighter and usually uses snake-themed ways to kill people, primarily poisoning them and then watching them crawl around on the floor until they die from her venom overdose. Nasty way to go. The daughter of Commissioner Gordon, Barbara Gordon took on the mantle of Batgirl, was a crime-fighting partner of Batman for years. She's a skilled and capable fighter, having trained under Batman himself, and actually fights and operates a whole lot like Batman too. Except because she's not quite Batman out there, you can kind of tell that Batgirl is a little bit weaker and a little bit less skilled, and that's what holds her back. Tim Drake was one of the first people to figure out that Batman was Bruce Wayne, and so he approached Batman and tried to convince him that he needed a new Robin in his war on crime. And so Batman put Tim through a grueling training program. Eventually, he earned the right to call himself Robin, Robin is a skilled fighter, although not quite as skilled as Batman, and we can see that play out. However, he does have his own fighting style, using his bow staff in a fight will use an enemy's weight against them in order to throw them around. A member of the League of Assassins, Lady Shiva is a highly trained and extremely dangerous assassin whose skills are nearly unmatched. She would consistently select her different targets in order to test out their fighting skills against her own. None of them managed to survive. I mean, the fact that both Batman and Bane are cautious around her and her skill all confirm just how dangerous of a warrior Shiva truly is. With textbook narcissism, genius-level intellect, and obsessive-compulsive need to prove it, Edward Nygma probably works harder than any other villain out there to get Batman's attention. I mean, just look at all the different trophies and clues that he leaves littered around Arkham, and eventually Gotham. Heck, in Arkham Knight, Riddler even goes so far as to design lethal underground racetracks and to construct entire robot armies in order to take Batman down. Selina Kyle is a master cat burglar, and while she originally started thieving just to survive, Catwoman quickly became the best there is. She also trained herself in martial arts and fighting. Her fighting style is pretty much entirely focused on speed, agility, and gymnastics. She's such a skilled fighter, in fact, that she can easily work with Batman, and their teamwork is nearly perfect. Waylon Jones, born of a genetic disorder that causes him to become more and more like a crocodile, eventually just embraced his bestial nature, devouring people whole. And Croc becomes more and more powerful as the series goes along. So when we saw him in Arkham Knight, he's absolutely massive and incredibly deadly. In fact, where before Batman was able to fight against him and beat him on his own, at Croc's strongest, Batman and Nightwing had to try and double team him in order to even come close to beating him. And now we get to see the head honcho of the League of Assassins, the 600-year-old head of the demon, Ra's al Ghul. Through the League, Ra's has spent centuries trying to manipulate world events. This put him in direct conflict with Batman, especially when Ra's tried to take down Gotham. But he's not just a massive figurehead in the crime world, he's also easily one of the best fighters on the planet, thanks to lifetime's worth of skill and abilities. Mr. Freeze was a brilliant scientist. After a tragic accident, his body now must be kept at absolute zero, transforming him to Mr. Freeze. And he really embraced the cold, and has a ton of freeze weapons, completely and totally freezing anyone in his way in an instant. Freeze is also incredibly tough to take down. His armor gives him a ton of durability, to the point where Batman has to use multiple attacks to beat him. The arch nemesis of Batman, Joker is the ultimate psychopath, the ultimate insane supervillain. He was constantly there to torture Batman, antagonize Batman, and all this even continued long after the Joker's death. And in a fight, well, Joker is dang near unpredictable. He's a dangerous fighter, a deadly killer. There's absolutely no way to predict his next move, because Joker usually doesn't even know his next move. Years ago, Michael Lane was in a program to create the ultimate crime fighter. Of course, it didn't really work out, because he turned into an insane criminal. However, after confessing his sins to the priest of the Order of Saint Dumas, he was recruited to fight evil as Azrael, complete with the magical suit of sorrows and the sword of sin. After years of training and secretly observing Batman, Azrael fights and moves basically just like Batman himself, making sure that he's one of the best fighters on the planet. Originally a psychiatrist at Arkham Asylum, Harleen Quinzel treated the Joker, and it all went downhill from there. She became Harley Quinn, a violent and unpredictable criminal who only cares about getting the Joker's approval. And because the Joker is the Joker, this never really happened. In fact, in a lot of ways, Harley Quinn is just another one of his many victims, just a very dangerous one. But now Harley's out doing her own thing, and man is she skilled and formidable. With her baseball bat in hand, she's constantly on the offensive and bashing people upside the head, truly showing off just how much of a loose cannon Harley really is. Pamela Isley was a botanist before she was transformed into a plant-human hybrid by a science experiment gone wrong. Now, as Poison Ivy, she has a toxic touch, pheromone seduction, and the power and ability to control all plant life. She doesn't care about human life at all. She's perfectly happy to just watch over her plants, and that's it. But if you ever touch her plants, well, watch out, she can absolutely mess you up. Trained by Batman since a boy, Dick Grayson became his first sidekick in the first Robin. But after he grew up, well, Dick took on his own superhero mantle as Nightwing, and now works with Batman not as a sidekick, but an ally and an equal. He's a highly skilled fighter, on par with Batman himself, and Nightwing primarily uses Eskrima sticks whenever he decides to beat up bad guys. These sticks are seriously formidable, especially since they're able to unleash some powerful electricity in order to instantly take thugs down. Originally a soldier during the Vietnam War, Slade Wilson was a part of an experimental super soldier program, where he gained enhanced strength, agility, a healing factor, and intelligence, becoming Deathstroke. Deathstroke then became a mercenary and quickly gained the reputation as one of the world's greatest assassins. He's easily one of the biggest threats and greatest fights Batman has ever had. Deathstroke is just as skilled a fighter as Batman. He's got a massive arsenal of gear that he can use and isn't at all afraid to kill or go all out in any battle he's in. Bane is one of Batman's ultimate villains, imprisoned from birth and subjected to military experiments with Venom. He then used his sheer willpower and strength to escape and started building his own criminal empire. That eventually brought him to Gotham and in conflict with Batman. He's easily Batman's strongest villain. Just a massive man uses the super steroid Venom in order to only further increase his strength, durability, and toughness. He had some absolutely brutal takedowns, was surprisingly fast, was easily the toughest villain Batman faced off against in Origins. For a guy who calls himself Captain Boomerang, Captain Boomerang definitely doesn't use boomerangs a whole lot. But the boomerangs he does use definitely do come in handy. His Speed Force boomerangs really put him in a league all of his own and allow him to move around almost as fast as the Flash himself. He's also not too shabby with his sniper rifle while in a fight, and is pretty effective in close-up combat too. Floyd Lawton, better known as Deadshot, is a mercenary, one of the world's greatest assassins and the best marksman in the world. He seems like he literally can't miss a shot. With his guns, his accuracy, and his skill, Deadshot is incredibly effective at both close-up melee range and from a long distance. With his jetpack, Floyd can quickly travel between the two, flying all over the map, guns ablazing. The final boss of Arkham City is an insane bait and switch. There's really no way you could have guessed this ending before it happened. While we thought we were about to fight Joker, well, we see him melt away, then Clayface takes his spot instead. A superhuman with the ability to shapeshift and mimic others around him. On top of insane superhuman strength and durability, Clayface is one of the most dangerous, most powerful villains Batman has ever faced. King Shark, the descendant of a literal shark god, is insanely powerful, obviously, and he's got no problem throwing all that power around. He's incredibly tough and often just simply tear through enemies whenever they're dumb enough to get in his way. He's basically like a gigantic, aggressive wrecking ball with razor sharp teeth and the complete willingness to mess you up. Cursed with an eternal 7-day cycle of birth, death, and burial, Solomon Grundy is kept as a zombie pet by the Penguin in his basement. Batman tries to confront Penguin looking for a cure to Joker's poison and meets up with Grundy instead. He's incredibly strong and powerful. His fiery chains can kill Batman in just a few hits, and he's ridiculously tough to put down. The good news is that Batman can get away with killing Grundy and not break his one rule, because Grundy is always going to come back for more. Jonathan Crane was a bullied kid, and so he vowed to overcome all his fears by studying psychology, biochemistry, and the very nature of fear itself. But this quickly led to human experimentation, and he eventually became Scarecrow, armed with a fear gas that makes a person's deepest, darkest fears a very real reality. With this reign of terror, Scarecrow quickly became one of Batman's most psychologically dangerous villains. Maybe his most dangerous villain, period. The titular character Arkham Knight, Jason Todd's got more reason than anyone to hate Batman, and he tries to take over all of Gotham City with an entire army just to prove it. As a former Robin, Jason is basically Batman's equal in pretty much every way. Speed, tactics, fighting skill, intelligence, everything. He's an amazing fighter, nearly superhumanly powerful, incredibly skilled and intelligent, with an entire army and extreme high-tech weapons and gear at his disposal. Arkham Knight genuinely was able to take over the entire city of Gotham for a moment there. Batman is obviously the main character of the Arkham series, and this version of Batman is easily one of the most powerful you've ever seen. With a combination of his insane strength and durability and speed, plus his world-class fighting skills and all the gear and toys that money can buy, not to mention a strategic mind like no other, he's a top-tier Batman for sure. He can take down his entire rogues gallery in one night several times over. He managed to take down the entire Suicide Squad by himself several times too. Batman is a one-man army, and basically nothing can stop him, and no one can stand in his way. Green Lantern is both a member of the Justice League and the Green Lantern Corps, an intergalactic peacekeeping force, and has been tasked with using his Green Lantern ring against villains and criminals. Of course, then Brainiac took over, and Lantern was truly able to go all out. With the Lantern ring, GL can create literally anything he can imagine out of hard light energy. He just has to have the willpower to make it happen. And considering that Jon Stewart has nearly unlimited willpower and unlimited imagination, well, he can create a whole lot of stuff. As the Flash, Barry Allen joined up with the Justice League in order to use his super speed to help people and stop crime. And man, Barry is stupid fast. Flash is literally faster than the speed of light. With that level of speed comes a whole lot of other abilities too, like the ability to travel through time, run straight through objects, or even travel to other dimensions. He can charge up lightning to throw it around, create massive tornadoes. He even has a super fast healing too. And once Flash went evil, well, he was definitely one of the scariest and deadliest men on the planet. Wonder Woman, the mighty warrior from Themyscira, is actually the only member of the Justice League who managed to not be put under Brainiac's control. And if any of the League was going to be able to fight back, Diana's a pretty good one to have. She's got superhuman physicality, nearly on par with Superman himself, able to fight against him and hold her own. But on top of that, she's trained for centuries to be a formidable and deadly fighter. With her magical weapons, well, she's kind of the ultimate warrior. There's been a lot of rumors and mentions about Superman throughout the Arkham games, usually just called the guy in the cape over in Metropolis. But now we finally meet him. While he might be evil, he's just as powerful as you'd imagine. Super strength, super speed, super durability, everything that Superman is known for. Except this time, he's using it all to kill and destroy, not save and protect. Yeah, easy to say, this Superman is one of the biggest threats you'll ever face. Brainiac. He's a super intelligent, planet-conquering alien warlord who manages to simultaneously take control of Metropolis and take out the Justice League and put them under his control all at the same time. He's one of the smartest beings in the universe. Once he takes command and control over a person, there appears to be nothing possible to reverse it. With even the Justice League under his control, Brainiac is the strongest character we've ever seen in the Arkhamverse. But what do y'all think? Sound off in the comments down below. I know you're gonna have thoughts and feelings on this one for sure. If you stuck around this long and made it to the end of the video, that's amazing. Thank you so much for watching and for supporting us. And if you want to go subscribe, well, go subscribe. You're going to see more videos like this one every single week. I'll see y'all then. I'll see y'all next time.